Good evening, you're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. Now, politics, as we sadly know, is more about usually populist measures rather than structural reform. We've seen it way too often. 3 elections in the very recent past were fought by the Congress on the plank of doling out farm loan waivers. Now, this promise of farm loan waiver has triggered a political war of what can be seen as competitive populism, with the states of Gujarat and Assam also announcing farm loan waivers. The Congress quick to take credit with this tweet of Rahul Gandhi saying that he won't let Prime Minister Modi sleep till he waives off loans of farmers across the country. This is what he said. The Congress party has managed to wake the chief ministers of Assam and Gujarat from their deep slumber. Prime Minister is still asleep. We will wake him up too. This is what Rahul Gandhi tweeted, and this is what he said.
कांग्रेस पार्टी और बाकी सब विपक्ष की पार्टी एक होकर नरेंद्र मोदी से कर्जा माफ करके ही दिखाएगी। हम खड़े होंगे, हम उनसे लड़ेंगे, 1 इंच पीछे नहीं हटेंगे, उनको सोने नहीं देंगे, रात भर सोने नहीं देंगे जब तक हिंदुस्तान के किसान का कर्जा माफ नहीं होगा।
Now, why populist measures always work in election season is something that the Congress is rather familiar with. Let's jog our viewers' political history a bit. The UPA came to power in the year 2009, when in 2008 Congress announced a farm loan waiver of 60,000 crore rupees. Or the UPA coming to power and the loan waiver connected, well, nobody quite knows, but we can always venture a guess. So even this time around, the state coffers might be empty, the state coffers of 3 states that the Congress has taken over, but the Congress is hell-bent on fulfilling the farm loan waiver promise in all 3 states that it just won elections in. Listen in to Mr. Scindia, Deputy CM. Listen in to Mr. Scindia from Madhya Pradesh.
जब आत्मविश्वास हो तब असंभव कार्य भी संभव हो सकता है, और अगर आपका हृदय सही जगह पे न हो तो फिर संभव कार्य भी असंभव हो सकता है.
However, you don't need to be an economist or agrarian expert to know that farm loan waivers are mostly seen and viewed and interpreted as political bribes and do little in form of structural change, which the country definitely needs in the agrarian sector. Former Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog slammed Rahul Gandhi for starting what he says is a race of competitive populism. This is what he tweeted. A sad race to the bottom has begun. If loan waivers would fundamentally elevate farmers' plight, waivers would be a welcome step. But if after 70 years of independence, farmers remain in distress, we need to seek different solutions. Now, all of this, even as the Bharatiya Janata Party has given now an ultimatum to the Congress on the implementation of farm loan waivers in Rajasthan till the 27th December. Remember, the newly minted Chief Minister of Congress, Ashok Gehlot, has his task cut out in finding the money from what he says are empty coffers.
किसानों की एकदम से अचानक सोते सोते उनको चिंता हो गई. ऐसे व्यक्ति को चिंता हुई जिसे कि बैगन और बर्गर का पता नहीं, प्याज और पिज्जे का अर्थ नहीं पता, वो जो है वो आज भी किसानों की चिंता में लग गए हैं.
Now, the fact is that the 2019 dream now seems to be in the hand of the Indian farmer. Every time a party has announced farm loan waivers, it has gained electorally. We just want to quickly take you across certain states. A look at the states that have introduced farm loan waivers and possibly, we are not saying there was a direct link, but reaped electoral benefit. The state of Madhya Pradesh, Congress, of course, announced a farm loan waiver of 38,000 crore rupees across to Chhattisgarh. The Congress said they'll come into power and 6,100 crore rupees loan of farmers would be waived off. Right after that, Assam, BJP run, jumped into the fray, announced a farm loan waiver of 600 crore rupees. Karnataka, under JDS government, announced a loan waiver of 42,165 crore rupees, a whopping sum there. Let's move across to Rajasthan, which the 8,500 crore Mr. Gehlot and his deputy CM Sachin Pilot is having a tough time to collect. On the other hand, Maharashtra has announced a farm loan waiver of 34,000 crore rupees. It's been under the Bharatiya Janata Party. Where Punjab is concerned, Amrinder Singh waived off a loan of 10,000 crore rupees. Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath announced a farm loan waiver of 36,000 crore rupees. The list is endless. Andhra Pradesh, under TDP, 3,600 crore rupees. Telangana under TRS, 3,000 crore rupees. Tamil Nadu under AIDMK government, 1,800 crore rupees. Other states also now crying for farm loan waivers. One thing is clear, that all political parties have realized that the rural vote bank will be an issue. Going ahead, farm loan waivers will be the code to crack that issue, that vote bank. Move over, Ram Mandir, farm loan waivers possibly will be the new mantra come 2019. All right, so let's quickly take you to the big questions that we are asking this evening, because ultimately who will pay for these thousands and thousands crore rupees? Question 1, farm loan waiver, bribe to be poll plank 2019 becoming exceedingly clear. Second question, Congress appropriating the farmer distress cause. You had Rahul Gandhi immediately jump up and say, wake up, Prime Minister. And finally, the last question, populist waivers, once again trumping structural reform. Should we only be too surprised on that account? Let's quickly introduce our guests this evening to our viewers. I have Sanjay Jha from the Congress Party, spokesperson. I have Syed Zafar Islam from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Devendra Sharma, agriculture expert. In the studio with me is Rajiv Dubey, managing editor. Gentlemen, before I cut across to you, I want to go to Rajiv Dubey, if you'd allow me, just to get a larger picture in terms of, you know, we just took our viewers, Rajiv, through the thousands of crores rupees that various ministers, chief ministers of states have promised, and even doled them out, some of them. Who pays for it? What happens to the Indian economy? What route are we actually following? Can it actually be called political bribes?
Well, yes. I mean, it's in one way, it's the politicians' way of compensating for their failure to meet their promises of improving the lives of the farmers, farming community. And it also is a moral hazard, because basically you are rewarding the defaulters. That's what you're doing. Eventually, each one of us will pay for it, because because the states do not have the ability to be able to absorb all this. It will increase fiscal deficit, but make no mistake about this, the farm loan waivers, the larger the farm loan waiver, the bigger will be the impact on that state's ability to make capital expenditure in areas where this is required, like education, healthcare, sanitation. All of these are going to be suffering unless the state can suddenly increase its income. I don't know how they'll do that, because all of these areas, with wherever this, you know, a UP could absorb 36,000 crore because its state budget is 4.28 lakh crore. An MP with less than half of that cannot absorb 38,000 crore of farm loan waiver. And similarly with Rajasthan and Punjab. Punjab is a major case where it's going to have a serious implication of where they will find the money, and obviously that money will have to be diverted from where this is needed, which is capital expenditure in education, healthcare, sanitation.
But that's been the mantra, you know, that's been the mantra, Rajiv. Especially short-term populist measures are very popular when it comes down to politics. And I'll bring in Sanjay Jha at this point. And Sanjay, you'd only know better. We only have to go back to the year 2008, where the Congress had given, if I'm not wrong, correct me, 60,000 crore loan waiver and romped home to power in 2009. Similar roadmap plan this time around, isn't it?
Preeti, I'll make two short points. Number one of the reasons why the rural distress or the farmers' woebegone condition is a severe challenge for us is because it's a pan-India problem. Over the last 4 years since Mr. Modi became Prime Minister, the agricultural growth has been at 2.3%, which is 50% less than what the UPA did, and that's a number that will obviously have a massive repercussion on the fortunes of the farming community. The point number two, I completely agree with you. Nobody is saying that a farm loan waiver is a long-term reform. You do need to bring about some serious structural improvements, but end of day,
Sanjay, separate the banker from you as a Congress spokesperson. Sanjay,
should innocent farmers die?
Sanjay. 1 second, I'm sorry, I'm just coming in, I'm interrupting, I know that, but separate the banker from the Congress spokesperson and tell me, is it prudent to dole out the kind of money that you're actually talking about? Where are you going to find it?
Well, let me answer that question. You know something, Preeti, and I say this as a citizen of the country, that you have over 3.5 lakh waivers, 3.5 lakh waivers, by the way, given to the corporate sector in write-offs. You are aware, Preeti, you and I have debated it on your channel, India's non-performing assets is over 12 lakh crores. The Prime Minister's office has the list of the biggest willful defaulters. These are all very affluent, super rich businessmen of the country. And we are pardoning them off. And, this is like happening in broad daylight. The farmer is made to suffer. He dies. The family is in ruins. I think we need to talk about creating a level playing field here.
Okay.
And a very pertinent point that at least the loan waiver creates some kind of a minimum opportunity on which you can build structural reforms.
Sanjay,
but
the
the Modi
Congress would
government
know-
reneged on the
Right.
promise of minimum support price,
Right.
and it actually betrayed the farming community.
So, Sanjay, the Congress would know very well, over the course of the last 70 years, with most of the Congress being in power, that farm loan waivers is not the solution, and possibly the agrarian distress that we see now cannot be handed over to the Bharatiya Janata Party as its fault, because I would reckon the Congress has equal dibs on it. But having said that, I'd like to bring in Syed Zafar Islam. Mr. Islam, a competitive populist race has now erupted at the back of it. It seems Ram Mandir is now going to be on the back boiler. It's going to be farmer loan waiver, which is going to be right up ahead, because if 2019 seems to be the game, then the rural vote bank will be the one calling it.
Preeti, as far as Bharatiya Janata Party is concerned, you can check our history. We have always been extremely committed to the welfare of people, welfare, particularly I'm talking about the farmers and the poor and the marginalized.
Give me some examples, sir, because the kind of history sheet I have of either of the parties seem to suggest completely the opposite. No structural reforms. Tell me the structural reforms that the Bharatiya Janata Party has taken in. 36,000 crore doled out by the Uttar Pradesh government. Part of it has been paid by the taxpayers in this country, where Rajiv and I have paid possibly a part of that as well. So, tell me what structural reforms has the Bharatiya Janata Party brought in?
See, when you're talking about agricultural sector and the reforms which has been undertaken, which should be undertaken, also I'm taking which should be undertaken, and which has not been undertaken, let me list it out. First of all, I will say that what is the concern the farmers have is the better price realization to start with. That is their concern, and then since they don't realize that for the better price for their produce, they suffer. And Congress has historically, if you just see it, do a back testing, you will realize that they haven't done anything for creating infrastructure and addressing this concern by having a food park, a cold storage, all the backward integration. They have not done any backward integration, and they have not done the forward integration. They didn't create an infrastructure as well. What we have done in last 4.5 years, we have emphasized the need for having a infrastructure. We have creating market, because you need to have forward integration as well, and we have also created backward integration as well. It does take time. We are just 4.5 years, and we have created a lot of infrastructure in the last 4.5 years. Let me tell you first a few things.
Starting off with MSP.
No, just a second.
Yes,
just
okay, fine.
Preeti.
Okay, yes.
See,
Preeti, can I respond to that?
I'll come to you, Sanjay. Let him finish and I'll come to you. Yes,
No,
make your point, Mr. Islam, and I'll go to Sanjay then.
See, you have to understand, away from politics, these are the not solution. And for instance, like in Madhya Pradesh, the revenue, the tax revenue in Madhya Pradesh is only 50,000 crore, around 50,000 crore. And the farm waiver, which has been loan waiver, which has been not amounts to 55,000 crore.
Sir, can I quote you figures of Uttar Pradesh then? Because it's a little rich coming to quote Madhya Pradesh and not talk about the 36,000
Then you can question me anything you want to. At
in
least,
UP.
Preeti, let me complete. At least allow me to make my point, and then you can ask me any question you want.
Yes, sir.
I am saying that, as you rightly pointed out in your opening remarks, whether they need to show whether additional revenues will come from where, or they are not able to show resources coming from a particular source. Then what they will have to do, they will have to compromise with education, what allocation made for education, budgetary allocation made for a common man. So people are extremely worried.
Where did Mr. Yogi Adityanath compromise in Uttar Pradesh? Did education suffer, law and order suffer? What was it that was compromised to make way for the 36,000 crore rupees, sir?
The Honorable Finance Minister, immediately after they sworn in Uttar Pradesh, very clear message he had delivered, that you will have to raise resources 36,000 crore or cut your expenditure, revenue expenditure, to ensure that you do not have a fiscal deficit, or you do not compromise with the poor.
Basically, you're saying education
compromise
suffered,
with the welfare
medical
scheme of
needs
poor.
suffered.
No, in Madhya Pradesh, I am repeatedly asking that why don't Congress suggest us from where they will muster this 55,000
I'll bring in
crore,
Sanjay
and
Jha
if not,
to
then whether
make
the
that
poor
suggestion.
man, the worried poor man, the marginalized section of the society is a
Okay.
worried lot today, because
Okay.
they feel that their interest will be compromised.
Okay, Mr.
And
Islam,
whatever
you
welfare
asked for a
scheme was there,
suggestion
that
from
will
the
be not
Congress. I
there
would
in the
only hand
place.
it over to Mr. Sanjay Jha to make that suggestion. Yes, Mr. Jha, you wanted to come in.
Yeah, Preeti, I want to keep the answer brief. The truth of the matter is that this government has neglected the farming community. The MSP is one problem. The other one is these false, disingenuous propositions. We will double farmer income. You know, this is betraying the farming community. And what is the truth? Right now, the BJP spokesperson is talking about backward integration. Does he even know that Dr. Manmohan Singh announced an FDI in multi-brand retail that was a farm to fork model that would have encouraged cold storage, logistics, transportation, more mechanized farming, better returns in mandis, and more important, getting a better retail price. What did Narendra Modi's government do? They
But
said
Mr. Jha,
nothing
Dr.
doing,
Singh
no
also
FDI
had 2
multi-brand
terms to
retail. So, you know,
implement the
instead of
announcements, and
coming
I
on a
think
TV
we wouldn't
channel
be
and
where
let
we
me-
are
let
today.
me ask you
If-
some questions.
No, one
You
second.
need to be honest.
Mr. Jha, Dr. Singh had 2 terms to implement those announcements, and if he
No.
had done so, sir,
No.
we wouldn't
Preeti,
be debating what we are today.
Right. Well, you know, Preeti, let me give you a couple of examples. The MS Swaminathan Commission report was initiated by Dr. Manmohan Singh because we realized that the agrarian sector needed much greater representation in terms of a national debate, because 70% of the people live in the villages. National Food Security Act, Manrega, Kisan cards, e-choppers, better sophisticated irrigation, hybrid seeds, these were all started by the Congress party.
Mr. Jha?
I think in 2014 the government changed
Preeti,
hands.
you have given him
I'm
enough
coming
time.
to you.
Allow
I'm
me
coming
to
right
speak.
to you.
Even
But
in
can
the
I come
insurance,
in?
crop insurance scheme,
Okay.
the private insurance companies have made a lot of money.
Mr. Jha, before I
Private
go to
insurance
Mr.
companies
Islam,
have made
I
a
want to
lot of
ask you
money,
one
the farmers
question.
have lost.
Okay, Mr. Jha, before I go to Islam, one question, sir. All of that you named that are essential and the call of the day, why was it that the Congress then fought 3 elections on the basis of farm loan waiver and not of matching the MSP, making, integrating the back end of the agrarian distress that we are seeing? Why not then? Why announce farm loan waivers? Because that's a very easy option, sir. It's very populist. It works
Because
immediately. It's a magic key.
Preeti, fair enough. Preeti, can I give you one example of Madhya Pradesh? You know what happened in Mandsaur? Farmers were shot dead. That was a manifestation of the kind of agrarian crisis in Madhya Pradesh. You have 1 lakh farmers in Delhi, but Narendra Modi has no time for them. He's busy attending the
Mandsaur has been
weddings
won
of
by the
rich and
BJP
famous.
though.
I mean, you
Mr.
give
Jha.
loan waivers as a promise in the
Mr. Jha,
manifesto
Mandsaur,
because you
electorally
want to
speaking, if there was
prevent-
anger,
you
it
want
should
to
have transcended.
prevent deaths of farmers.
But Mandsaur, as a constituency, as a district, has been won by the BJP. But I want to bring in, yes, Mr. Islam, you wanted to quickly come in and make a point. Do we have the agriculture expert, Devendra Sharma?
No, it's a larger problem across the state.
Okay.
It's symptomatic of a serious problem.
Okay. Mr. Islam, and Rajiv, I know you want to come in and make a point. Mr. Islam wanted to just come in. Yes, Mr. Islam, make your point, and I'd like to go back to the studio with Rajiv.
See, Mandsaur, it was actually the handiwork of Congress party. Raju Patwari,
Okay, let's
Jitu
not get
Patwari
into
was
that.
already there.
Okay,
and
okay.
every Congress stand exposed. That's why we have won from there.
Okay, let's
Away
not
from
get-
that,
yes.
let me ask him. No, he is talking about the MSP. He knows very well. As a banker, when you ask him, he didn't reply because he knows that the growth is the population is growing by at the rate of 1.3%, while the agriculture sector is growing 4.5–5%. Obviously, the produce, whatever is being produced, cannot be consumed locally. So MSP cannot keep on increasing. You have to reduce the input cost, and that's why the Bharatiya Janata Party has worked on both sides. Increasing MSP, we have increased MSP, but also we have ensured that the input cost can come off, and some provided they should be provided with some safety net. That's why Fasal Bima Yojana. That's why you have said soil testing.
Rajiv wants to come in.
That's why we have done.
The harsh
Mr. Islam, I'd like to bring in. Okay, I'd like to bring in our business editor, sir.
The
Our
harsh
business editor wants to
reality.
come in, and we're also joined by Devendra Sharma, agriculture expert. But
Preeti,
yes,
the
Rajiv.
harsh reality of Indian agriculture is that the real wage growth in the rural sector has been declining for the past 5 years. And every state, whether it is a Congress-run state or a BJP-ruled state, the MSP is not working because the real price in the market is way lower than MSP.
Lower than what it is.
Only 5% of the farmers are getting MSP, MSP rates. So that's a harsh reality, and this is an NSSO survey. If you look at the procurement of paddy and wheat, these are the only two places where MSP has worked, and there again the procurement is only about 30%. So what is the MSP that we are talking about? The MSP is not working.
Right.
The problem is that the
problem is extremely unpopular because you have to change the
politicians have failed to deliver on the promise to improve the life of the farmer.
And the life of the farmer, if you actually go down and read the recent reports and how you improve that, would possibly mean taking on and implementing certain schemes which would be highly unpopular with the farmer themselves. So no party really wants to get into that. And I want to bring in the last word to Devendra Sharma, if our panelists allow us. He's an agriculture expert. And Devendra Sharma, farm loan waivers, is that the answer? Because if it was the answer to agrarian distress, we've had 70 years of that.
Well, let's be very clear that the primary reason for agriculture distress is the denial of rightful income to farmers. For at least 4 decades, the farm incomes have remained static. They have remained frozen. And the recent OECD study has found out that for the past 2 decades, at least that's what they have worked out, the incomes have remained static. Niti Aayog tells us that the income hasn't risen in the 5-year period between 2011 to 2015. And then, another Niti Aayog report tells us that the Economic Survey 2016 tells us that the average income of a farming family in 17 states of India, which is half the country, is 20,000 rupees a year, which means farmers are surviving on less than 1,700 rupees a month in half the country. Now that tells us what the deplorable condition of farmers is in this country. And I think this bailout that has been given by way of farm loan waiver is required, is definitely required, and is definitely a short-term measure, and it has to be accompanied by assured income for farmers now.
Okay, all right. So maybe
it has to be income by mechanism.
There are 2 ways to look at it, Devendra Sharma. But I guess as an agriculture agrarian distress expert, this is your opinion. We have Rajiv Dubey, who looks at the larger economy, something very contrarian. But we're going to continue to debate that. I appreciate you all, gentlemen, for joining us. Sanjay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Islam, Rajiv, and Devendra Sharma for joining us. And I do believe this is going to be up for debate coming into 2019. Thank you all for joining us. Up next is In Depth.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you would love to.